Hello and welcome back to goldstocktrades.com. Today we have a new and special guest with us, Andrew Pollard. Andrew's CEO of Blackrock Gold, which is exploring for high-grade gold in Nevada at a very interesting project, Silver Cloud. It can be traded as BRC on the TSX Venture and as BKRRF on the OTC. Thanks, Andrew, for being here with us today and for going through the presentation with us to give us a brief overview of Blackrock Gold and what you're doing exploring in Nevada right now.
Hey, Jeb. Yeah, thanks very much for having me here. And it's certainly not the first time in my life I've been called special, but I'll take it as a compliment in this context.
Well, we're going to be talking about some forward-looking statements, and it's been a remarkable year for Blackrock Gold. Especially, it's kind of, you came in as CEO, I think around May, and we saw a great excitement return to the company. I was wondering if you could kind of highlight what's the history of the company and you coming in as CEO and what you've brought to, and the value that you've brought to this Blackrock team.
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, I joined the company, I believe it was May 13th. Which actually coincided with the all-time low and 52-week low for the company. In fact, I believe the stock traded down that day. Since then, between May and mid-December or through the end of the year, we emerged as one of the best-performing equities on the TSX Venture Exchange, traded well over 60 to 70 million shares. And, when I joined the company, we were at 3 cents. We hit a 52-week high of 35.5 cents within about 6 months later on the back of a lot of volume. Now, the reason for that was the same reason that I joined the company in the first place. It was because I thought Blackrock Silver Cloud project, which is a low sulfidation epithermal, effectively a high-grade vein-hosted potential project in Nevada, was among the most overlooked exploration projects I'd seen in about 15 years working in mining. I couldn't believe that the company, with this massive piece of land, I mean, this is 45 square kilometers on one of the most productive gold belts in the world, and it's Nevada. It's not, Africa or somewhere in Timbuktu. It's, surrounded by major mining companies that have been producing gold for 20, 30 years. And I was amazed that no one knew about this project, despite having this crazy land holding and despite, having two of the highest grade deposits on the planet, effectively vein systems pointing there directly at Silver Cloud. So, yeah, I saw potential. My background has always been in ensuring that the right people get behind the right projects. I used to put together management teams for mining companies for a living, and I saw this company had the right project, but it didn't really have the right team behind it. So I just decided to roll my sleeves up and do what I do best, which is, connecting people to projects.
You also brought on a very experienced chairman. Talk about the team that you have assembled.
Yeah, well, that's the first thing I set out doing when I joined the company was figure out how do I get the best people behind this project. And there's a luxury you have when you have a good project, and that is that they tend to generate excitement from the sorts of people that you'd want to get associated with it. So it wasn't a long search, because I ended up getting the very first person on my list, a guy by the name of Bill Howell, to join the company as our executive chairman. And he's also calling all the shots for us at the project level. Some of your listeners would probably know Bill from his time as CEO and founder of a company called Patch Gold, which was also another Nevada-focused gold company. They started out in exploration, and they eventually restarted the Florida Canyon Mine, which resulted in I think it was a $128 million acquisition about a year ago. But what drew me to Bill in the first place wasn't his time at Patch, despite that being a Nevada company. It was his previous job. His previous job was effectively overseeing all exploration for Placer Dome in the Americas, up until their acquisition by Barrick in 2005, 2006, where they were acquired for about $10 billion US. Bill, had oversight over all of the Americas, and being a Nevada guy, he was overseeing all of their operations in Nevada too. But what really pulled me to him was that Bill actually had our project at one time when it was within Placer Dome. He had a discovery on it. He was one of the last people to work the project, and I knew that he'd be great to get back behind the steering wheel again. So, 17 years after last drilling the project in 2002, where he had a discovery, Bill's back at the helm, working Silver Cloud, and it was an absolutely wild coup to get him here. He joined the company when we were still about $1 million, $1.5 million market cap, which anyone coming off of $120 million acquisition, he could have done whatever he wants. He chose to get back behind, to join Blackrock simply because of the caliber of the project.
Well, you mentioned about the jurisdiction, and that's becoming a much bigger issue. We're seeing illegal blockades of mines and protests in South America. We're seeing the emergence of terrorism in West Africa and AK-47s. You're in a really exciting area. If you look at the chart, you're right on the northern Nevada Rift, right near Hecla's famous Hollister mine. And there's been little exploration to date. So what really excites you about this project specifically, and why should an investor really look at Blackrock Gold right now?
Yeah, well, that's, you hit the nail on the head in terms of jurisdictional risk. I mean, if Nevada were a country, it would be the fourth or fifth largest gold producing country in the world. So, we know there's gold in Nevada, but from a jurisdictional point of view, I mean, my goodness, you got rule of law. You get there's power all the way up to the property. We're surrounded by big yellow trucks hauling ore every day. So if this isn't a real estate play or a proximity play, but if it were sort of put in the confines of real estate, I liken our project to having a huge corner lot in Beverly Hills. We've got 45 square kilometers on the northern Nevada Rift, but it's actually right where the rift collides with the Carlin Trend. So depending on which map maker you look at, our project's either on the Carlin Trend or the Rift, but either way, it's right at that confluence there. So on one side of us, on the Carlin Trend, you've got some of the largest gold mines in North America. These are the big open pit. They're lower grade mines, but they're absolutely massive in scale. You're talking about 20, 30 million ounce per ton, 30 million ounce deposits, and they're stacked just in a row, and that row sort of leads directly to Silver Cloud. But the northern Nevada Rift is actually one of the highest grade known gold belts on the planet. That's something that most people don't actually compute when they're talking about Nevada. Everyone thinks about the Carlin style projects. Well, the Midas mine, which is directly northwest of us and who trends right towards our project, that was a 3-4 million ounce discovery, and they're when they started mining it about 20 years ago, they were producing at about 31 grams per ton. Those are the same sorts of grades that Fosterville is currently producing at. That was such a good deposit that it made Franco-Nevada, who originally had it, switch their business model and get into the mine building and operating business. And then right next to us, we're directly next to Hecla's Hollister mine, which their vein system also points at us. Their veins go east-west, and we're directly west of them. So Hollister, that was about a 1 million ounce discovery, and their resource grades at 39 grams per ton. Those are some serious grades. So we're in line and on trend of some ultra high grade, low sulfidation epithermal gold deposits, I guess. And we've got this 45 square kilometer. It consists of about 572 mining claims, which is massive as projects go for in the context of Nevada. And it's the best part is it's seen very little exploration to date.
So, Andrew, as we conclude here on Blackrock Gold and the introduction, BRC on the TSX Venture and as BKRRF on the OTC. Talk to us about, I know in recent interviews I've heard you saying that this year is going to be an extremely active year for Blackrock Gold. So talk to us about what this next 6 months looks to you from a corporate, your projections over the next 6 months.
Yeah, well, we're just completing a financing now, which is going to allow me to give Bill the money he needs to really let the rubber hit the road in terms of drilling and I guess realizing the full potential of the project here. So in the next 6 months, we finished the first drilling program that this project has seen since 2005 on our property back in December, and we've still got about 2/3 of our assays from that program that have yet to be released. So in the very short term, there's going to be some more assays coming out from our last program, but we're also starting up a new exploration program following up on some of the results that we've already had, which will kick off this month. And that's going to be a couple very deep holes, which we're going to try and figure out the vertical extent, try and hit the gold veins that we've already been hitting from the initial results we've seen so far, but hit them lower down in the sector in the system to try and find some bonanza grades, which which I guess our placement on the Northern Nevada Rift would suggest would be inherent. So we've got more results coming. We've got a new drill program starting up very soon. We're also going to be doing a whole bunch of geophysics in the short term too, to tighten up some of the structures and imaging for us as we figure out more targets. And then we've also got a brand new area of the project which has never ever been drilled before, called the Northeast Veins target. We call it Northeast Veins because it's directly adjacent to where the veins at Hollister effectively come right up to our property border. So they're pointing directly at this area. We call it the veins target because we've actually got 8 veins outcropping its surface on our side of this of the property, which the fact no one's put any holes into this previously is absolutely crazy because you've got one of the highest grade gold mines on the planet literally pointing there. We think this could be some sort of extension of what Hollister is seeing, but we're going to do an RC drilling program up there in late spring, early summer, which will be purely discovery focused. But we're hunting elephants up there, to put it mildly. So we're lots of drilling in the next few months. More results expected, IP and some discovery drilling too. So.
Well, you can get more information on Blackrock Gold by going to their website, blackrockgoldcorp.com. It's BRC on the TSX Venture, BKRRF on the OTC. You can also trade it in Frankfurt as AHZ. Andrew, is there any other thing that you'd like to conclude with or ways that investors can contact you?
No, listen, we're one to put on your radar right now, just simply because if you look at all of the stories that have really gained prominence in the market over the past few years, it's been vein hosted, high grade discoveries in good jurisdiction. Well, we're in one of arguably the best jurisdiction in the world. We've got a project which couldn't be more geologically interesting if it tried. I mean, geologists go crazy when they visit it. It's like going to Disneyland because we've got, multiple mercury mines on our project. It's covered in sinter. We've got veins outcropping at surface. I mean, you don't find these areas like this in Nevada anymore. This project should have been, drilled to kingdom come, 20, 30 years ago, but it was just saddled with a really bad royalty deal. The secret sauce behind what we're doing is that we got rid of those royalties, and we're the first junior to really fully go after this, and everything's sort of lining up for 2020 to be a huge year for us. So I hope you take a look, and it's with all the catalysts lined up over the next couple of weeks through 6 months or so. I mean, this could be a story for the books.